So this happened about 5 years ago when I was 9 months pregnant. I was Christmas shopping at the mall with my then 7 and 15-year-old daughters one Saturday night. We lived in a very safe city with a low crime rate. There was an Applebee's connected to the mall. We ended our shopping pretty late and the mall stores were starting to close, so I took my kids to the Applebee's for a late dinner. We finished eating around 10 p.m. and exited through the Applebee's entrance into a practically deserted parking lot, carrying our shopping bags. As we reached the car, I was trying to maneuver the bags on my arms to find my keys when a crusty-looking man, probably in his 50s, started walking toward us from somewhere in the lot. He had shaggy gray-white hair, a faded flannel shirt, and worn-out jeans. When he was about 40 feet away, I noticed him briskly approaching. He said, "This is a stick-up, give me all your money." My blood ran cold. I stared at him wide-eyed and shakily said, "What?" He quickly followed up with, "Just kidding," then walked right up and stood next to my daughters, who were waiting on the other side of the car for me to unlock it. He started making small talk, asking if they'd been good for Santa, how old they were, if we'd finished our Christmas shopping, what kinds of gifts we got, etc. He didn't seem drunk, high, or mentally unstable. He was coherent and appeared of sound mind. Mind you, I was heavily pregnant, alone with my 2 daughters in a mostly deserted parking lot at 10 p.m., being approached by a strange man who stood right next to my kids, while keeping his hands in his pockets and occasionally looking over his shoulder. I didn't want to aggravate him, so I politely conversed with him while trying to appear calm. Meanwhile, I was frantically digging through my oversized purse trying to find my car keys. This strange exchange lasted a couple of minutes. He kept glancing over his shoulder and I was internally panicking. I tried to subtly end the conversation, saying things like, "It was nice chatting with you, but I've got to get the kids to bed," and "nice meeting you," encouraging my girls to say the same. But he didn't leave. He sidestepped my attempts and kept engaging them, asking about school subjects, complimenting how polite they were, etc., while I continued struggling with the bags and my cluttered purse. My outgoing 7-year-old was completely oblivious to how not okay this situation was. She started talking about what she got her dad for Christmas, excitedly telling him about Minecraft and asking him questions, essentially keeping the conversation going. They didn't realize how desperate I was to get them away from this man. Then came a sinking realization. What if I dropped my keys in the mall? What if we were stuck outside with this stranger who hadn't shown any signs of leaving? What if he was waiting for the right moment to pounce? My heart was pounding. We were completely alone with this man. The odds were against us. All he had to do was grab one of my daughters and threaten them, and I'd do anything to keep them safe. Then suddenly he said, "Okay, it was nice talking with you, see you later." He walked away in the direction he came from. That was the moment I found my keys. I quickly unlocked the car, told my daughters to get in fast, jumped in myself, locked the doors, and drove away. My 15-year-old joked, "Okay, that was weird," and laughed. I felt relieved and confused. Why would a man, seemingly of sound mind, think it was okay to approach a woman and her kids in a dark parking lot just to chit-chat? Since nothing bad had happened, I brushed it off and laughed along with her. We got home, and when my husband asked how shopping went, I told him what happened. My 15-year-old explained it jokingly, and I added how I'd been mentally panicking while pretending to stay calm, even making fun of myself for not finding my keys. But my husband went white. He didn't laugh. His expression turned to horror. Now, my father-in-law is a retired sheriff's deputy, and my husband went through police academy training after high school. He eventually pursued business instead. So he's not easily spooked. He looked me in the eyes and said he was 100% sure the guy was waiting for me to unlock the car. He believed the reason the man stood so close to our kids was that once the doors were unlocked, he was planning to force himself in, likely holding a weapon on the kids to gain control of me. I'd never leave my children behind. He would have had leverage, forced me to drive to a remote location. God knows what would have happened after that. And the fact he wasn't wearing a mask? That likely meant he didn't plan to leave any witnesses. I then remembered. He was standing by the back passenger door, right where my 7-year-old had been waiting. My husband said the only reason he likely walked away was that it took me so long to find my keys. It spooked him. All that time I was desperate to find them, and by some divine intervention they stayed hidden in my purse. Those missing keys may have saved our lives. I'm 21 and live in a village just outside a big city. My village is surrounded by a large forest. there's a place my friends and I call Nature Spot, where we often hang out at night to smoke or drink. It's a dune-like wooded area with a large island in the middle. To get to the island, you have to cross a small wooden bridge. The nearest houses are at least a kilometer away, so at night it's pitch dark and completely silent, especially in the winter, when the trees are bare. The ground is muddy and no one ever goes there. It feels completely isolated. This happened about 3 weeks ago. That Friday night, none of my friends were available, but I still wanted to go to the island. I enjoy being alone sometimes, just me, nature, and my weed. I know the area well and always carry a knife just in case. I'm not someone who scares easily. I often walk the woods at night with my headphones on full blast. I actually like the tension it creates. My life has been boring lately, and sometimes the adrenaline of being alone in the dark keeps me feeling alive. So around 12:30 a.m., I started walking through the woods toward the island. Before crossing the bridge, I took off my headphones to listen for any sounds, just to make sure no one else was there. You never know if someone, a person, a homeless guy, might be camping out on the island. After a few minutes of silence, I decided I was alone and crossed the bridge to sit under a tree we call the Witch's Tree. In the winter, it looks like something out of the Blair Witch Project. As I approached the tree with my music playing, I suddenly saw something that froze me in place. There, standing on a high log in front of me, was a completely naked man, maybe in his 30s or 40s. He was just standing there in the dark in a T-pose, staring down at me, motionless, silent. In that instant, my heart dropped. I jumped back in pure panic, yanking my headphones off. My hands were shaking. I yelled out in Dutch, "Oh, what the hell are you doing?" I started jogging backwards, eyes fixed on him. Then I shouted louder, "I saw you. Come on then, I've got a knife. I'll stab you." This is something I've said before when I feel threatened, especially in dark forest areas. Sometimes acting aggressive can throw a person off. It's not that I'd actually stab someone unless I absolutely had to, but it's a defense tactic. Show no fear. But deep down I was terrified. I made it back to the bridge. My first thought was that maybe he was a homeless man on drugs, but the more I thought about it, the more it didn't make sense. Who climbs a tree naked in the middle of the night and just stands there silently? And why say nothing when I shouted at him? I was still trying to process this when suddenly I saw movement. Out of nowhere, the same man began walking toward me from the trees, still completely naked, arms raised in the air like he was surrendering to police. His eyes were wild. His face was pale and hollow-looking, like something out of a zombie movie. The way he walked was unnatural, over the wobbly bridge, without holding the rails. Like the bridge wasn't even unstable. It was like he was walking on water. I yelled again, "What the hell are you doing?" But now he started screaming and running at me. I turned and bolted. I sprinted back through the dark forest toward the residential area. It's about a 5-minute run, but it felt endless. I could hear him behind me screaming, "I'm gonna eat you if I catch you." His voice didn't sound human anymore. Just madness. I ran faster than I ever have in my life. My knife? Forgotten. I didn't want to stay there a second longer. I was in blind panic. I stumbled and fell face first into a thorn bush. I was briefly disoriented, but I could still hear him coming. I didn't stop. I ripped my jacket, lost my bike keys, and just kept running. I made it home and didn't sleep that night. Here's the thing. Homeless people in the Netherlands don't act like that. I've seen many over the years, but nothing close to this. This felt like something from the US, like those viral videos where drugged-out people on Flakka act like literal zombies. That's exactly the energy this man had. The next morning, I told my friend what happened, and we both went back to the island. I stood on the bridge and threw stones into the bushes where I saw him last, but everything was silent. And that same bouncy, unstable bridge, the one the man had walked across with no trouble, we could barely cross it. There were no signs anyone had slept there. No clothes, no camp, nothing. Since that night, I've never returned to that place. But just a few days ago, I saw him again. I was biking through a park nearby and saw a man hiding behind a tree, watching a woman walk her dog. I recognized him instantly. He had a blanket covering his body and he was talking to the tree. He seemed completely possessed, that same face, same energy. Later, I found out he had escaped from a nearby mental institution. The police are still looking for him. Let me start by saying, I was young and dumb when I met him. I'm 18 now. I met him when I was 16 and he was my first real relationship. I was a bigger girl and I had a really hard time getting guys to like me. Then I met him on Snapchat. I didn't realize it at the time, but he love-bombed me hard. I was so caught up in the feeling of finally being wanted that I ignored every red flag. After just 1 week of talking, he convinced me to come to his house to hook up. He lived almost an hour away and I had just started driving. But how we met isn't the point. He showed major signs of being a narcissist and even told me straight up that he believed he was a sociopath. But I didn't leave. I was emotionally trapped. He was possessive and manipulated me into believing he was the only person who truly cared about me. He made me cut off my friends and pushed me to distance myself from my family. He cheated on me constantly. I caught him 3 times and he eventually admitted that in our 18-month relationship, he was faithful for only 3 of them, which was complete bullshit. I had the proof, but he always lied to save himself. I have major abandonment issues from my dad, but it's not just about me. I also have this deep fear of abandoning people who need someone. I thought he needed me. He was set to ship off to the Marines in late June 2024. Just before he left, I proposed to him. I know. It was stupid. I hate myself for it. But when you've been emotionally and psychologically abused, your mind doesn't work like normal. You don't think about protecting yourself. You focus on doing whatever makes your abuser happy, anything to avoid setting them off. He made it through boot camp. We wrote letters for all 13 weeks. It felt magical, like he truly loved me. I saved up and drove to California for his graduation. I really thought those were the best days of my life. When he came home, he moved in with me. He said he had a bad relationship with his parents and had nowhere else to go. That was a huge mistake. After that, I was truly trapped. From August to October, he did recruiter assistance, then shipped back to California for schooling. So, we went back to long distance. Then in March, I woke up one morning and checked my phone. If you've ever been cheated on and stayed, you become paranoid. He had 2 Instagram accounts, one that he blocked me on. I created a fake account just to keep an eye on his followers and posts. He was following more and more girls. That morning, he posted a story hidden from me making a joke about cheating on your dumb girlfriend. You don't joke about shit you've done. I texted him explaining how messed up that was, how he knew how much it hurt me. After that, I was done. I messaged some of the girls he followed and found out he was on dating apps. That was it. We talked for 3 days. On April 2nd, I dropped off all his belongings at his parents' house and blocked him. Told him never to contact me again. And for a while it was silent. I was healing. This man abused me for almost 2 years. He made me believe awful things about myself and my family. There's so much more to tell, but at this point, this is a novel. Late one night in April, I got a text. Package arrived. Confused, I replied with a question mark. The number said something was on my porch. It was 11 p.m. I opened the door and there was a notebook sitting there. He had filled an entire notebook, front to back, with letters to me. I refused to read it. I found out he had been discharged from the Marines, and not honorably. He moved to a city just 20 minutes from mine, a place he hated, but he moved there just to be close to me. He didn't even have a car. He biked 13 miles just to drop that notebook off. I gave the notebook to my parents and texted the number back. Never contact me again. Don't come near my house or I'm calling the police. Then I blocked the number. I was terrified. I slept in my parents' room and cried. At 1:30 a.m. I got another text and from a different number. Can you honestly tell me you've enjoyed this past month? It had only been 3 hours since I blocked him. I sent him a long, angry message telling him how great my life was without him, and told him again to never contact me. After that, I had to change my phone number. I changed the code to my garage, changed the code to my front door. A few weeks later, I got 3 letters in the mail, all from him. One of them was a suicide note. He described how and why he was going to kill himself. I called dispatch in his city and requested a wellness check. He was alive. He told the officer he was just upset. I asked the officer to tell him directly that if he contacted me again, I would file a harassment and stalking report. A week later, I got a message on Facebook from a fake account. Everything about it screamed that it was him. I eventually read the notebook he had left on my porch, and holy shit, he is insane. He admitted to lying to me about suicide attempts, hospitalizations, psych stays, all of it. He said he did it because it was better for me to believe that I hurt him that badly. He also confessed to a lot of illegal things and admitted he cheated on every girl he'd ever been with. It traumatized me even more. I went to the police and filed a report. 2 days later, I got more letters. One said he'd been watching me from a hill near my house. Another letter included our engagement rings. He told me it was smart to change my number, but that I couldn't change my address, so he would keep sending letters until he won me back. The last letters came from a different state. That means he moved, and I'm relieved. At least now I don't have to constantly fear for my physical safety, but I still get letters every week. He's obsessed with me, and I don't understand why. He cheated because some broken part of him was never satisfied. Now that he doesn't have me, he's unraveling. I never want to see him again. I'm terrified of him. Even though he moved away, I still look over my shoulder, wondering if he's there. I changed my number, but I still panic anytime a call or text comes from an unknown number. I have nightmares about him. He mentally destroyed me, and only now with distance can I finally see how bad it really was. I just hope the letters stop, or that he goes to jail, because this will happen to another girl if he doesn't face consequences. I want justice for myself, but I also want to protect whoever's next. I truly fucking hate him, and I wish him the absolute worst.